Hey, it's BT with Tales from a Gemini. My guest today is Mallory Dobbs. Mallory Dobbs races in the super sport category in Moto America, and we caught up with her just before her second round ever in Moto America before she goes to Laguna Seca, the iconic Laguna Seca track. We talked to her about her life before she got into motorcycles, her life now in motorcycles, and what she wants to achieve in motorcycle racing. It's a fun chat. I think you'll like Mallory Dobbs. I think you'll be a fan of hers after you see this interview. So enjoy, my friend, Mallory Dobbs. 1, 2, 3. Hey, it's BT with Tales from a Gemini, and my guest today, let's just get right to it. You know, I started out just saying wonderful things to her and whatever, and she was like, thank you. And then she was achieving the dream. Like, I'm all about chasing the dream and achieving the dream, and this person is living the dream. Probably more than anybody right now that I know, she is killing it. My friend, at least I hope she thinks she's my friend, because I think she's my friend. My friend from Olympia, Washington, Mallory Dobbs. How you doing, Mallory?
I'm good. I'm doing great.
Mallory, you know, honestly, I love your story. Like I was saying beforehand, I love your story, and we're going to get into it. But in Olympia, Washington, all I know about Washington State, I've been there before. Beautiful state. I know about Mount Rainier and Bigfoot. And have you seen both?
I have seen Mount Rainier, and I have had a friend dress up as Sasquatch or Bigfoot and wander around the forest just to fuck with people.
Are you sure that was your friend? Are you maybe?
It wasn't. He shared pictures like it was, but maybe it was a real thing.
Now, I know your story, and we are connected in a little bit of a way because I am originally born and raised in Oklahoma, and that's where you won your world championship in show horse, right?
Yeah. I won a world championship when I was 18 years old. Yeah, I won a world championship title. Yeah.
And
that was my roots. I showed horses since I was 11. My grandparents were into it. My mom was into it. It was a whole family thing. And so I did that for a long time up until, 4 or 5 years ago when I started racing motorcycles. So,
but that's the story. Now, okay, growing up, you had horses, but did you grow up on a farm? Did you grow up in a rural setting or an urban setting?
Yeah, so I grew up in Olympia, pretty much in like kind of the outskirts of Olympia, but not much. I mean, basically in the city. And I just paid to board my horse at a boarding barn facility, and we couldn't really afford like a fancy place. So we like had a self-care barn, and we had to go every day after school and go clean his stall and feed him and water him and like ride him. And it was a very big time commitment. My life revolved around horses for a long time. I was, there all the time. There was times when people were like, hey, you want to go do this? And I was like, no, I've got school and horses. Like, that's it. That is my life.
What was it about horses that intrigued you when you were a kid? Because I mean, no offense, I think I can't say most girls, but I think with women, for some reason, it's something about horses and women that, at least ponies, and honestly, and then they graduate from there, but something that love affair between horses and women. What is that?
I couldn't really describe to you what horses mean to me, but it's almost like therapy, like having that bond with such a big animal that has a mind of its own that you get to like train with and work with and like try to work towards something greater. And, it's just like having a dog, right? It's like a companion that like understands you and like consoles you in like the worst times of your life. And that was what horses were, right? It was just like an escape. Like it's similar to what I feel on motorcycles is that like when I'm at the barn or riding a motorcycle, there isn't much time to think about much else other than that moment of what you're doing. And so it's that moment of like, I'm living in this moment and enjoying this. And so, cause like the moment that you're like thinking about other things on like a horse or something, you get distracted, they're distracted, and then it just doesn't feel the same. And it's obviously a lot slower than a motorcycle thing, yeah. But like, it's very similar of like, you get to just kind of enjoy life in that one moment with your partner,
What kind of girl were you before you met the horses? I mean, were you like a rambunctious kid, and then the horses kind of like got you into discipline, or were you like honestly, or were you already disciplined, and the horses were like, this is my thing?
I would say that I was probably pretty disciplined. I'm an only child, and so I was kind of sheltered.
Were you spoiled?
Oh yeah, for sure. But not spoiled, I'm just spoiled.
Says you.
Yeah, jury's still out. And so I was very disciplined. I really enjoyed school, getting straight A's. Like that was all me. I definitely think horses helped that, like the dedication it requires to do well with horse showing and stuff like that just requires a lot of time and dedication. And, my mom threatened multiple times of like, I'd cop an attitude or something too. Don't make me rip you off that horse. And I start crying, this is the whole thing. And, I just learned a lot about what it took to be there because it was a big deal. My parents were spending a lot of money to get me to do this horse stuff. And it was like, if you aren't going to take it seriously, like there's no point. And so I think that is what kind of like created this culture in me of like, if you want to do something, like commit and do the thing and, strive to be best in it. Don't just like sit and be like, oh, I'm going to do this thing for fun and like whatever. I don't know. I just think that like the accomplishment and the goals that like the dreams that I have now with motorcycles were cultivated by the fact that I did the same thing with horses with my parents.
But now, did you discover that early about, the goals and like, did your parents really say, listen, we're spending money here and this horse wasn't exactly cheap. So you need to realize, this is what you want to do, because if not, we're gonna let the horses go. You can go play with a Barbie doll or do whatever. I mean, did you realize that when you were young? I mean, was that really instilled in you when you were young? You realized that?
I think so. I don't think I really fully understood the amount of time and effort and energy and like money that went into it at the time when I was a kid. And now looking back on it, I'm like, wow, my mom was really dedicated for me and like did all that stuff for me and like spent all this money. And, now as an adult, like doing it for myself is obviously like maybe put a little more into perspective. But at the time, I think I just thought that, it was something I wanted to do, or I don't even know who put the seed in my head of like, hey, you want to go to the world show and like compete? I think it might've been my grandma, but it wasn't something that like I always dreamed of, it was like, oh, I have this horse, I'm working on it, I'm going to do these things. And then it was like, you start to progress through the sport and you're like, well, I'm doing really well here. So maybe I should like do the next step. And, just kind of progress that way. Like, I just don't think that I ever really, like, I never set my sights on something and then like achieve it and then be like, all right, we're done. That was it. Cool.
Did you ever want to go to did you ever want to go to the Olympics in it?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Really?
I mean, you gotta, I don't know. Yeah. Who knows on that one.
So no, what was your, like, when you were a kid and they go, so what do you want to do when you get older? What are you going to do when you grow up? Like, what did you say at that moment? When you were a kid, just growing up, everybody's, I want to be a fireman. I want to do this. I want to, what was your dream when somebody asked you?
I probably had two that were pretty hard, but one was I'm veterinarian. I wanted to be a vet because I love animals. And then I realized how crappy that would be to like have to deal with all the sick animals because you don't get to see all the happy, friendly ones. So you see all the ones that are like, so it was like, maybe I don't want to do that. And then I used to watch a lot of like CSI. And so I wanted to be like a crime scene investigator for a bit.
So that means like if you're going out with you and you watch out CSI, then you would know how to kill a boyfriend and get away with it, basically is what you're trying to say. Basically. What is it with women and watching CSI and murder shows? There's some kind of connection there that's scary.
So speaking of, my mom used to watch Murder, She Wrote all the time. And like, so I think it just started when I was young.
So basically, you either wanted to help animals or kill a boyfriend.
No, I wanted to solve other people killing their boyfriend, solve those mysteries. I'm not going to kill anyone.
Of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. You're just a sweetie pie. Now, okay, so growing up, now, I know that you and your dad have a special connection with restoring cars. Now, are you consider yourself a daddy's girl?
I actually wouldn't. My mom and I were a lot closer growing up because of the whole horse thing. And so, my mom took me everywhere to horse shows all over the country and we spent a lot of time together. My dad was supportive, but he wasn't quite into it. And so we did some car racing together, and it wasn't until probably midway through college that I formed a better relationship with my dad. My parents divorced and my mom moved to Texas. And so I got like this different relationship with my dad. That was pretty cool. And so now my dad and I are a lot closer. And he enjoys my motorcycle racing, but he prefers cars. So he doesn't really like to come out and watch me race.
Was there ever a rift? Like growing up, when you're a teenager, as my mom would say, you think you knew every damn thing. Was there ever a time where like there was a rift between you and your dad and now that, it's like it's fixed and it's better? Was there ever a time where like you and your parents weren't getting along?
No. I mean, not until like I said, when I was in college, my mom decided to change her life was the moment that like I became closer to my dad, but there was never like a disagreement between any of us. I was really close to my parents and they were great. So.
And you were an angel pretty much. I mean, basically you're the only child, so you're an angel. No matter what you did, it was perfect, right?
I was such a good kid too, because like my mom would like, my mom told me stories about how she'd sneak out all the time and like, you know, she went to parties and like she had two other sisters. And so like she was the trouble child.
Yeah.
And then she was like a helicopter parent for me because she thought that I would be that. And I like never tried to sneak out, never brought home any boys, like never did anything like that at all. Like horses were my life. I was school and horses.
So you were boring, basically. You were a boring, good kid. Like, God,
Yeah.
could you do something wrong so we can punish you? But you were like, I'll do it, mother and father. By the way, here's all A's. Sir, I got an A-. You were that good of a kid.
I didn't even like my parents never even were like the parents that were like, you have to get A's, you know, like it was like me that was that way. Like I get, because my parents were kind of like, meh, you know, high school, they didn't go to college. I was a first gen college student. And, so that was on me, right? Like that was my choice. Like I cried when I got a B+ or whatever. Like I was upset with myself. My parents were like, no, that's really good. Like, good job. And I was like, so.
Well, that's odd. So basically you've been self-driven your whole life then.
Yes, I would say so.
And that just comes from the inner you then, right?
Something like that. I don't know. People ask me that all the time. They're like, you know, did someone like tell you that you had to do all these things or whatever? And I'm like, no, it's something that like I put my mind to it and that's what I wanted to do. And that's what I did.
So when did you decide to become a bad girl and get your motorcycle? Because motorcycle, to me, I always say that motorcycles, and when it comes to racing, all forms of racing, no matter how advanced we get with society, there's something about motorcycles that always has that bad boy or that rebel quality. I would say bad boy, but you race, so it's a rebel quality. No matter how high up you get from MotoGP, whatever, there's always that rebel quality where motorcycling stands out. So when did it start for you?
Yeah, it didn't start until 2016, I think. So 24, 25. And I had a boyfriend who bought a motorcycle and I rode on the back of it for like 2 months, a month. I hated it. It was awful. It was like a CBR 600. He weighed just about as much as I did, if not less than I did. Like he was tiny. And I was like, I am fearful for my life. And so
What'd you mean about the circus? Was he a jockey?
No, he was half Korean, so he was just skinny.
Aw, and it's great. She's an equal opportunity for most women would like, no, I'm not going out with a little guy, but you didn't care. You got, oh, I like my little man. And so you got yourself a little boyfriend.
You can't discriminate, you know.
Good for you.
Great.
Good for you.
So yeah, I bought my own motorcycle, and then we broke up shortly after that.
Whose fault was it?
So
whose fault was it?
Huh?
Whose fault? Whose fault?
Well, so the story behind the motorcycle is actually we dated for 3.5 years. We broke up for like a month, and in that breakup period was when he bought the motorcycle. And then, of course, we kept talking and then got back together because that always works well.
Always.
And
always.
And so we got back together. And then like I rode on the back of the motorcycle and I bought my own. And then of course, a couple months later, we ended up breaking up for good. We just weren't good for each other. We had different goals in life and he was a great person. We're still friends. And we just weren't good for each other. So we just kind of called it quits on that. And then I was like, well, now I have a motorcycle. So I'm going to go bebop around the city of Olympia and cause trouble.
You become a hooligan. I saw those videos of you being a hooligan. So there was a little period where you weren't Miss Goody Two Shoes like you claim to be. You were pretty much a hooligan. You were doing wheelies on a supermoto.
I was trying to do wheelies. They lasted about 2 seconds. You just get a picture that looks cool, but it was like up down. I thought I was the coolest kid on the planet.
So you're being
I'm like, oh man.
So you're being a hooligan, basically what you were doing in that time period.
Mm-hmm. I had hooligan friends. So, I was trying to just fit in.
So if you had hooligan friends, that makes you a hooligan. Like every parent says, if your friends jump off a bridge, would you jump with them too? Is that what you would do? So basically you were a hooligan. If your friends were hooligan, you were a hooligan.
Yep.
So when did you decide to say, you know what, I'm going to curtail that and get into racing? When did that kind of come about?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I tell the story, it like happened so fast and I don't even like really know. Like it was, I bought my motorcycle. I started riding on the street. I met a bunch of friends on the street. And, because we did like bike nights, meet at Starbucks, hang out, talk, whatever. And I met a bunch of people that were like, they had these really cool things called track days. You like go to a track and then you just like can practice. You just ride around. It's no requirements. Like you just have to have the gear for it. And I was like, wow, that sounds like really cool. Like, why would I not want to do that? Like I have a motorcycle already. So I like spent all the money, to buy all the gear and like went to my first track day and kind of just met, a bunch of people on my first track day. And so the funny story that always goes is like, I had my dad's Dodge 3500 with a 8-foot by 20-foot enclosed car trailer with my one motorcycle because I had no other way to get my stuff to the track that I could unload it by myself because my dad's truck was lifted and too big to unload it.
Yeah.
So I show up to the track and everybody's like turning heads. They're like looking at who's this like person showing up to their first track day, all bright-eyed, bushy tail, just like stoked. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And met a ton of people. And so one of my friends, Emily, she was like 15 at the time. We're still friends. She came up to me and she was like, you should come to Thunderhill, which is in California. You should come to Thunderhill with this big group of people. We're planning a big trip. Like, we want you to come. And I was like, you don't even know who I am. Like, you just met me like today. Like, and I was like, you just want me for my trailer, don't you? Because I was like, I have this big trailer and all these people that want to take all their bikes to this track. She was like, well, kind of.
Of course. You're the rich kid with the trailer.
So my dad was like, only you can drive the truck and trailer. So I had to drive the 10, 11 hours by myself while all these people were in my truck with all these bikes, these people I didn't even know, right? Like I met them like one day, I met them in passing. Like I barely even knew any of them. And I was like, we're going to go to Thunderhill. Like, this sounds fun. We did a 3-day trip. We ran both tracks down at Thunderhill. They have 2 tracks there. And that was like my like 3rd or 4th track day weekend that I'd ever done. And I met all these people that like a couple of them were racers already. And they were like, you should get into racing. Like, it's really fun. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I mean, okay. And so all of us in this group, like, I guess like peer pressure, like, all of us were just doing it. And so we all like started looking at like motorcycles and like, I ended up finding one for like $1,500 and it was an 03 R6. It had been raced for a long time. Yeah. And it was a character. But we ended up all buying a race bike, most of us from that group. We all bought race bikes and we all started racing and created a racing team, essentially, when we started, called Hobbit Racing. And since then, that team has kind of disbanded. A couple of them have had kids and, life changes in school and all
kids
sorts of
ruin
stuff.
everything. Kids ruin everything.
Know.
They do. What they might want horses. They might start. I mean, I know how kids are.
Yep. And so the team kind of disbanded. I'm still like, I think one of the only ones that's still kind of racing right now, but that's kind of like the origin story of that. It happened so fast. Like, I mean, I started riding motorcycles and basically started in track days and racing within 6 months.
So you got peer pressure into racing. Some people get peer pressure into taking drugs. Some people get peer pressure to having sex too young. You got peer pressure into racing. That's the greatest peer pressure ever. I mean, it really is. Peer pressure into racing.
Peer pressure. Drugs would be cheaper.
You can't beat, but you can't beat that. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. Yeah. I mean, you could be going through rehab right now, but you're in racing. I mean, you have no money in your bank account because it's racing, but you're nice and healthy.
Yeah.
How great! Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's a lot worse things you'd be peer pressured in. What I want to know is, when did you first get a knee down? When did you first drag a knee?
I think I did it at Thunderhill. We went and did a second trip to Thunderhill like a couple months later. Uh-huh. And I rode my buddy's Ninja 250, very old Ninja 250. And he was like, you'll get your knee down on this because it's so much smaller and like easier to like move around. And I was like, okay. And I did it. And then I like came back and I was like, look guys, look everybody. And then everybody's like, okay, well, it's overrated. Once you do it and then you start racing a bunch, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't really mean anything, but like it feels cool at the moment. So.
Stop it, because I haven't drug a knee yet. So, and I've been to about 4 track days. So you just stop it. You're ruining my. I have one coming up next month. So don't ruin my good time. Okay, I want to drag a knee, and when I do, that's when I'm coming for you, Mal. I'm coming for you.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I like that. She basically said, "We'll bring it." That's what you basically said. We'll bring it.
Yep.
I like that. I like that. But I mean, so when did you like, was it immediately or I'm talking about the love for it? Were you like, you did the track days, but when did you go, my God, I love this?
Oh man. I don't really know. I think it was that first track day. I mean, once I did that track day and I was like, this is something that I really enjoyed doing. Like, it was super fun. It was difficult. Like, it was so hard to learn all the things. Like, I did a performance school with 2 fast track days, which is the track day company that I work for now. So my very first track day, I went there and I, did the school, and they taught me so many things that like the motorcycle safety course doesn't teach you. And they're like, oh, like braking, you can do that in a turn. They tell you to do it before the turn. You can brake in a turn. It's called trail braking. You're like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
And so, all this information is just like thrown at me. I met so many cool people that were so nice to me. And it was like, all right, this seems like a new challenge that I really love to do. I had gotten to the point where like I've been showing horses for so long. I went to the world show. I kind of had done it all. I had the same horse I still have him. He's 15 now. I had the same horse and showed him, all this time. And it was like, all right, like I kind of done it. Yeah. I think that there's more I could do. Like if I could get another horse and train the new one, but that didn't really interest me, So I did the whole I juggled both. I tried to do motorcycles and horse shows, and I would just like not really prepare for a horse show and just like go to a horse show and have fun. It was still fun. Yeah. But I realized that like my heart wasn't quite in it like it used to be. Like I wasn't making the time for that sport to work, and I was making the time for motorcycles. And then, progress now, 5 years, and like my entire life, besides my career, my entire life revolves around motorcycles, right? Like it's almost every weekend or every week I have a track day that I'm working at, or, a coaching day that I'm doing, or a race round, this is like now that has engulfed my life, and it progressed so fast, but I've loved like every minute of it, doing those races and meeting people, and like doing this is just, it's been so fun. It's been a new challenge, and there's so much more that I could learn. And it's really cool to be a role model to other people and just to do something that like makes my heart happy.
Now, did that love completely replace horses, and was there a sense of like, when I went to college, I went there to wrestle, and wrestling was my whole life, and it was the love of my life. And the first day I set foot on college, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And it was almost like a breaking up with a girlfriend or whatever. So, and it got me to where I am now. So was that the same kind of feeling with horses? Even though you still have your horse, is there like even though you feel like you replaced that love with motorcycling?
I mean, I don't want to say that I replaced it, but I definitely feel like I, have more of a desire to do things motorcycle related, but there is still that love for horses because that was my life for so long. And, my horse is my child essentially. And so I still care and love for him, and I still go see him, not as often as I'd like because I'm so busy, but I do have that little bit of love for him because I always will. And I will always love horses. And honestly, when I'm old and I don't want to race motorcycles anymore, I will probably go back to showing horses. But I think a lot of that passion and drive to push to do something, bigger than me is now in motorcycles for sure.
And what was if somebody had to ask you specifically, what is it about the motorcycling that made you go, yes, like this is the replacement for horses? Like what is it about? Is it the adrenaline? Is it about the sound? I always tell people there's no better sound when motorcycles are on the grid and right before that green flag drops. That's the greatest sound ever. So what is it about motorcycling that made you go, okay, this is it, and this is what I'm going to focus on now?
I think it's kind of like what I was telling you earlier about, like, you kind of forget everything that is life when you're on a motorcycle, right? There isn't time to remember that you forgot to take the garbage out, or like, oh, you missed a deadline, or, oh, I'm having relationship problems, or whatever it may be. You don't have time for any of that, right? The moment that your brain goes to something else is the moment that you make a mistake and something happens. So when you are riding a motorcycle, you are 110% present in that moment of riding that motorcycle. That is all you care about. You care about that guy that's in front of you, that's beating you. And you're like, I'm going to beat you right now.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like it's like the adrenaline and just being in that moment is like nothing that you can replace, right? You come off the track, you're stoked. You're on cloud 9. Like I come off track, I pull my helmet off and I'm like stoked. I'm like, oh my God, did you see that thing? And like, I'm talking to the person that I was like battling with or whatever. And I'm just like, or I got like a podium spot and I'm just like stoked. I'm like screaming at people. They're like, congratulations. I'm like, oh, like the energy level is just like 110. And everybody's like, wow, Mallory, like, you know, people that don't race or whatever, don't ride are like, cause it's like even track days are a little bit different than like that race environment. But you come off the track and like I've had friends come and like watch me race and I come off and I'm just like, oh, and they're just like, what the heck is wrong with her? Like, you know, it's just 10 5-hour energies. You just chug them all at once. Like,
yeah. So, okay.
it's those are the moments.
Have you ever had, since you're a racer now, a real racer, have you had that red mist that we talk about that riders have when somebody pisses you off?
Totally crashed in red mist. Totally done it. Yeah.
Really? What happened? What happened?
I've got some sweet pictures of it. It was a rain race. It was like the second to last race of the season. I was chasing the FemWalla Championship. So they have a female only race that I used to do. And there's only a couple of us, you know, there's not very many. And the girl that I was winning the championship. And it was like the second lap. It's like I said, rain race. I had a false neutral in one turn. And so then I had to I got all discombobulated. I got passed by one girl and I was like, all right, like it's okay. Just focus. Like, it's all right. And then I got passed by another girl on right after the front straight because they had bigger bikes than me. So I'm like, it's literally the second lap. Like we have so many more laps left. It's raining. Like, it's okay. Like, just breathe. So like we go through and I'm just like pissed at this point, right? Like both of them got ahead of me. They shouldn't be ahead of me. So I come down through and I'm just like on her. I'm like, all right, we're going to go for it. So I went for an inside pass on her coming out of a turn that's notorious for being slippery in the rain. And I just whack the throttle open and instantly go 90 degrees to this way. Like she's going that way. I am this way. I am still looking straight. Like I am like, I rode the thing to the ground. Like I didn't get high sided. I just went whoop, all the way down. But like the determination that I was like, it's fine, I'll save it. Like, this is okay. As my like foot is on the ground, like it's a sweet picture. And because the photog was like in the corner that I was doing it in. And I was so mad because it was like, you know, there was so much time in that race to like make it happen. Like, and I was fine. I wasn't going to lose her. Like I had the pace, but at that time I was like, I need guys now, right now. And I threw away the championship. Because I crashed and like you lose so many points from that there was no way I could come back. And so, because all I had to do was finish. Like I didn't really have to beat her. There was still one more round. I could have like still got the championship. So that's where like the statement always comes from. You don't lose like overall championship, or you don't win overall championships. You lose them because overall championships are about consistency.
That had to eat at you for the rest of the season, huh?
Oh yeah. I didn't go to Portland. I didn't go to the next round. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore this year.
Really? Oh, wait. Now, what did you learn from that? What did you learn from that?
Like that, calm, cool, and collected. You know, stay smart. That I saw the red mist and I didn't even notice it. I was just like, it's fine. This is fine. I'm just gonna get it right here. And it was a stupid mistake. And like, you know, I learned a lot from that moment of like, just be patient and wait for the right time, and it will come.
Oh my God, that you never come back from that. When you throw away a championship, I mean, you really don't. People don't understand it, but there's times, you know, if you've done sports, you know, there's moments when you just can't come back from that. So it's like that had to gnaw at you forever and ever and ever.
It didn't until we brought it back up, but
yeah. Okay, I'll move on. Now, okay,
no, so I just get better achievements and then I just forget about those ones because they're further away.
Well, it's helped you to where you are now. I mean, and speaking of that, now you didn't grow up a motorcycle racing fan, so do you know your history? Like, do you watch MotoGP? Do you have like riders that you look up to and go, okay, I want to? Because I mean, once you're in it, I mean, I'm a Gemini, so when I get some, I'm like this, I'm all in. So are you the same way? Like now that you're in motorcycle racing, do you watch the bigger guys? Like, okay, I want to go there, and then you start watching their racing and see what they're doing and how they're achieving their goals.
That's probably what I do with Moto America. So, you know, I was very much, I say that I'm like very dedicated in like a lot of things that I choose to, but when I first started racing motorcycles, it was just for fun, right? I bought a bike that I could compete on that was fun, and I got to hang out with my friends and party, like it was more like racing motorcycles in the day, drinking at night, it was social for me, right? I'm an extrovert. I love to hang out with my friends and, have that kind of fun. And so for the first couple of years, I was just, very much into just like, I'm just racing to have fun with my friends and to have fun and maybe do a little bit of progressing, but not, a ton. It wasn't until Moto America came to the Ridge 2 years ago that I really started to follow that. Like, oh, Moto America came here to my local track. I could compete at Moto America because like the club people can go and do a one event race and compete with the national level people. And it was at that moment that I was like, I want to do that. I would like to get there. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to get there. And so that was when I started following more a little bit about the Moto America circuit and a bunch of more Moto America people and just like following them a little bit more on what they were doing and how they were doing what they are, And I watched some like MotoGP and stuff, but I'm not like obsessive, like it's not, I'm like, yes, motorcycles is a big part of my life, but I'm not going to sit there and watch all the other motorcycle things that happen. Like I watch the highlight reels from MotoGP and I'm like, yep, that was good enough for me. Like, I see the articles about people crashing cars and drinking,
yeah.
But it wasn't until Moto America came here that I really started tracking on Moto America stuff and kind of just making a plan. Like that's where I want to get to. How am I going to get there? And like backtracking that up to where I am, now. And there was a lot of events that happened up to where I am now with my new bike and all sorts of stuff like that.
So when you get the call up to Moto America, I mean, did you feel like I made it? And then was there a sense of like, okay, careful what you wish for. I'm here now. And was there like a sense of, okay, I'm gonna show them I'm ready, or was it like butterflies? Like, I mean, how did you feel when you were like you're racing in Moto America in the super sport division, by the way?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was such a fun experience. And like, I was just like in the mindset of like, I'm just here to enjoy everything about this and just love it all. Right. But yeah, my stomach was in butterflies until the lights went out, basically. Like it was, well, actually when we did our warm up lap, I was like looking around and I'm like, all right, it's just another race. I know what I'm doing. I know this track. Like it'll be fine. It's just another race. And that was like, I calmed myself down, went around, we gridded up and then the lights went out and it was just like race mode, up until that point though, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, like it was just constant, like knots in my stomach of like, I'm here, but like almost that like imposter syndrome of like, I'm here, but did I like just fool them into letting me here? Like, I don't actually know.
Yes. We talk about that imposter syndrome. Okay. Now talk me through it. When did you get the call up, or how did that work? You went from like club racing to, hey, you're racing Moto America.
Yeah. So you have to have points in your club level to apply for a license to be Moto America. So you have to compete on the same motorcycle you competed in Moto America or, similar. And then fill out an application that says, these are my points that I've gotten from these clubs, so you have to basically have a certain number of wins or like, top 10 finishes or whatever it is, to calculate up the points within the past like 3 years, which is a lot easier than people, I think, realize. Then you fill it all out, your club signs it. It says like, yeah, we think she could, he or she could race Moto America. And then you basically just pay them money for a license and they go, here you go. Yeah. And that's it. It's like, once you have the points and the license and everything like that, it's not as scrutinized as people think, because then even when you get there and you come to Moto America, you still have to run. So in super sports case, you have to run 108% of the fastest lap time during qualifying to make the show. So the fastest guy, whoever that is during the day, Heron, whatever, he runs a certain lap time. You have to run 108% of that lap time in order to make the show. And if you don't, you're cut, and you don't get to race.
Well, like if you're bad in math, like I am, how do you figure out 108%? I mean, I don't know what that is. I mean, I really don't. I would just go, okay, go fast. But how did you figure? How do you figure that out?
That's a good thing. You just do calculate. You calculate the number of seconds, multiply by 1.08. And then that gives you the number of seconds. And then
for you, was it like a no-brainer? Like, yeah, I can do that. Or was it like, oh, okay. I mean, how did you mentally say?
I had to think about it for a minute, but I'm an engineer. So like math was my strong suit. That's why I got an engineering.
Oh, well, you got to say it like that. Made me feel like I'm stupid. I just asked you a question.
No, you're not stupid. You're not stupid. I just love math. Oh, yeah. I'm the nerd.
No, you made me feel like I was stupid because I asked you a question and now you're like, oh, I'm an engineer. That's what I do. So, I'm just asking you. So did you figure yourself, hey, no problem. I can do this, where you're like, okay. Because sometimes, all you got to do is just breathe and go, hey, listen, this is what I do. Just go out and have fun, which is easier said than done.
Totally. Yeah. So last year, basically I did a bunch of training and coaching down in Chapala, which is down in like Desert Center, California. They race in the winter down there because it's in the desert and it's 120 degrees in the summer. So in the winter, it's like 80 or 90, which is like doable. Yeah. So I trained and coached all year or all winter down there and got some coaching from Jason Pridmore, which if you know any of your motorcycle history, he's an AMA champion, world champ.
Duh. Hello. Yeah. That's what I do. That's what I do.
So I got coaching from Jason Pridmore and instantly dropped, 2.5 seconds within the weekend. And just by getting 1 day coaching with him, just one-on-one, which is insane for like a middle pack race. Like I was already in the middle. It wasn't like I was just like out in boonies. I was in mid pack, 600 races.
People don't understand. 2.5 seconds is a lot because even at the highest level of MotoGP, it's tenths and hundredths of a second. But 2.5 seconds, that's unbelievable. Did that just skyrocket your level of confidence?
Yes. Yeah, it was insane. So like there was a point where so I didn't qualify the greatest, but I started from third row in a race and I jumped all the way up. This imposter syndrome tiger here too. But I jumped all the way up to second on the start. I got almost whole shot. I was whoop, up into second place behind the first place guy. And I held that spot for 3 laps. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm here. At any point, someone's going to squash me. I'm so sorry. But, that's the mentality that I had because I wasn't used to being the front runner. I'm not used to being in the front. And so it was oh my gosh, I'm here. This is happening. I deserve this. I've worked my ass off for this. And, the training and coaching and, working at the gym has been helpful. And so those were the things that were confidence boosters coming back up here because prior to that coaching, I was still, 2 seconds off of qualifying time from last year for Moto America. I wrote it on my whiteboard. I calculated it out. I wrote the 150 flat. It was 150.01 or whatever. I wrote it on my whiteboard at home and I was this is what I need. And the fastest lap time before that I'd run was a 52 or a 51. And I was I got some work to do. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. And so then I came back up here after all that coaching from the winter and I did our first race run up here and with the crappy weather still set another personal best, ran a 50 flat or something like that. And I made it. I was wow, that's qualifying time. And it was so cold and the weather was meh. And I was all right, we're there. I'm freaking there. And it was let's keep going. If we're already there, then I want to keep progressing, And so when I got to Moto America, I was confident that I could qualify because I had the times, but there was still that little bit of doubt, of well, maybe, the times get faster this year because, XYZ, because the super sport rule changes, all sorts of things like that. And so I was definitely still nervous, but I think all that coaching and all the prep work up to it was I've done everything that I can to be successful to this point. And at this point, I just have to do what I know how to do.
When did it finally hit though? When did you go, yes, I do deserve to be here? I'm not an imposter. I'm just as good as these guys.
I don't know that ever really hit.
Really?
I dropped a whole second in the weekend. I ran my fastest lap I've ever ran in qualifying of all things on my own. And I think just being there was, helpful, being around a lot of faster people. Right. And just the confidence of this is the time to shine kind of deal. And I think after Friday, we qualified on Friday for a qualifying 1 session. And after that, I was still kind of just in the Moto America, we're getting my bike ready. We have qualifying tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And then I went home and I sat at home for a second and we watched, actually, that was Saturday night. So after that first race on Saturday, I went home and we rewatched the race on Moto America Live Plus. And I saw my name on the list in 12th or whatever it was at a point. And I was my name is on that. I did that. That is what I've been dreaming of doing for the past year. This is all the things that I planned up to this point, and now it happened. And it was just that moment that I was I did that and I worked for it, and people are telling me that I deserve this and this is where I should be. And now I think I'm still processing that of oh, this is what I'm doing now. And it's pretty cool, but at the same time, still a little bit like daunting, to be on a Moto America circuit. It's just a bigger thing,
So to get you there mentally, what gets you there? Like some people like they positive affirmations they say, or maybe they read a book, and some people, they may say a spiritual thing or whatever. Like what gets you there? I mean, there's some people like I have like a vision board and everything, and I like to play like meditative music all the time. What do you get to get yourself mentally there and get you there focused in and ready?
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people have like a process and I'm kind of a little looser about all of that. I have a performance coach. His name is Ethan, and he specializes in motorsports performance coaching. And he teaches me a lot of tools to use in the moments of like self-doubt. So like prior to Moto America, like the last week we had a meeting and I told him, I said, I'm just really doubting myself right now. Like, it's really hard for me not to get in this doubt spiral. And he's like, all right, well, remember your ABCs of like, when you start to get in this spiral, like, what are the things that you're going to focus on either when you're on track or off track, So like you have your ABCs, like breathe, try, like you just pick certain things that you want to say to yourself that like brings you back to center. And so, those are kind of the tools that like I can use, but otherwise it's like me visiting with people and being around others and like just doing like, some of that stuff has been helpful. Up to the point of it, like, it's like I go to the gym, I'm reading some, like I do have a couple affirmations that I have, but I'm like not very regimented about any of that. Right. It's more of like, how do I feel today?
What are some of your affirmations that are like your tried and true ones? Like, what do you come back to that get you centered?
One of the ones is I have greatness within me is one of my, it's like basically my like one and only like major affirmation that I really remember, and it's, I actually just bought a new Zox bracelet. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they're just like elastic bracelets that have like fancy sayings on them. But this one just says there's nothing you can't do.
Okay.
And so, it's more or less just like being confident and like being able to do everything. But I think I have a lot of confidence in myself, but I have to like, sometimes it's like that doubt. It's really the only thing that I have to like battle.
Do you ever listen to music? Like say we're on the grid, like when you're on the grid and it's, as Nikki Hayden used to call it, the dog and pony show. When you're ready for, the cameras are there and this and that, and you're just ready to like, come on, man, let's just get this sliding lap on and get ready to race. So are you listening to music? And if you are, what are you listening to?
Not on the grid. As it was on the grid, I was like, kind of like, a cat that was just like, I don't really like a squirrel. Like, I don't really know what's happening. And like, I was kind of just absorbing the moment of being on the grid with an umbrella person and like, just being there. Cause that's not what club racers do. Right. Before racing, a lot of times I will listen to 5 Finger Death Punch Pandora Station.
Really? What song from 500? What song from Death Punch?
And just any of the like typical 5 Finger Death Punch songs. I don't know. Like,
is that your group?
Because
is that your group?
Not really. Like, I mean, there's a certain time I'll listen to them, but like, because I'm very much a wide spectrum of music listener. But it's like that's like my focus music. So I'll put in these headphones and I'll do like a mental lap, like on my motorcycle, like in the pits, where like I'll sit there and I'll just do like a mental lap of like running through like gears and whatever, and just like visualizing. Yeah. And that kind of just gets me in the zone sometimes. But like otherwise, I'm not really doing much of anything. Like the horn's going off, and I'm like, all right, gotta put my head like earplugs in, and I'm just like bullshitting with people in my pit and like blah 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 blah. And they're like, oh man, I got like a minute. I'm like, okay, get ready and like go. Yeah. And it's funny because Cam Peterson actually says the same thing about like he visits with fans and family and friends and pit crew right before he goes to race, because that's the best way for him to stay calm and to not freak out or not get nervous. And I think I'm the exact same way. Like if I sit there and I try to focus and like, all right, I need to like do some breathing or do some like eye exercises or like not talk to anyone, then I get like all like freaked out. I'm like sitting there like, oh God, yeah. I'm like, get ready to race. And so then I get all nervous even more so than I should. So.
And so is it a matter of calming your breathing? Because to me, and I love this, and I just got back from Assen. I just got back from watching MotoGP in Assen. So it's like, I watch those guys like a hawk, and I just like, how do they control that? And it's weird I see how they compartmentalize. Like some of them, they'll leave the bike, go to the bathroom, come back and do whatever. And it's like, how do you control your breathing? Because it's about to start. And we, just kind of...
Those guys are like literal like superheroes. Like I'm pretty sure they're like not even human. Like MotoGP guys are just like insane, right?
Yes.
Like I don't. They're a whole nother like breed of human.
They're aliens, man. I mean, they really are. They're aliens. They're on a whole different planet watching those guys. So how do you do that? Like, is it the breathing? Do you, okay, when it's time, you get that 5 minutes. Okay, it's 5 minutes, and then your people leave you. You know, the umbrella goes down. Then your mechanic gives you a handshake, like, all right, Mal, it's time. And you put the helmet on, and you're tightened up. You got the gloves on, and they start. I mean, what's your process then? Are you running a mental checklist?
No, I like put my gloves on, and then I like scoot my butt back as far as I can, but I'm like short because I'm 5'5", but like not really tall enough to like move all the way back on the bike. So like I'm sitting there, you know, all my balls by feet, and I'm like, all right, and I get all scooched and get all settled, and I'm like, all right, and I look down, I like just kind of check everything over, and then put my visor down, and then that's it, you know, like that's all I got. That's my checklist. And I'm like, all right, where's the lights? Let's go.
Now, when the visor goes down, or like they say, are you a different person once that visor goes down?
Yeah, totally. The world gets shut out at that point. It's me and my motorcycle and beating those people in front of me.
I love that. I love that. And now, what is great about this is you are even living the dream even more because you're going to be racing Laguna Seca this week, which is an iconic track. And this is the track. I mean, honestly, this is the world famous track. You're going to go through the corkscrew, which has ruined many a racer. I mean, this is a make or break. You go through that corkscrew and you do the right move, man. You could put somebody in the dirt and it can make or break you. And what I loved about you, say, you know what? I don't know anything about this track, but I'm going to study. And I know that if I do do what I'm supposed to do, and I study it, there's no reason why I can't get some points. So have you been studying the track and do you have a feel for it already just from your mental checklist?
Yeah, so I've been playing MotoGP, it's dumb because MotoGP 22 has the 2009 circuit on it, but they only have MotoGP bikes on it, which is impossible to play. If you've ever played MotoGP, it's so hard. Like MotoGP bikes are the worst to play in that game. But I've been playing that game just to kind of get the feel for the track. And then I've been watching a bunch of laps from a bunch of people that posted from the last like CRA round that they had there a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So I know where the track goes. I know which corner is which. And so when I get there, you know, because I mean, we don't get a ton of time to ride it, right? Like it's not like we don't get a track day beforehand. We don't get a practice day. We get 25 minutes of practice in the morning on Friday, a 30-minute qualifying session in the afternoon, and then a second 30-minute qualifying session on Saturday. That's it.
And then
and I've never done it before, right? I've never sat and like had to learn a track under pressure and say, all right, you have this much time to learn a track and you got to set down a flying lap.
Are you ready for the corkscrew? Are you ready for it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. I'm totally ready. I'm not even worried about the corkscrew. Like if anything, like I think I'm more worried about turn one.
Really? Really? I mean, why is that? I hear about that's what everybody says. Turn one is like make or break. What is it about turn one that's so like difficult?
Because it's blind. So it's not really a straight, right? You're coming up over the hill and then it like goes to the left a bit. And then before turn two, it like turns left, but you're pinned. So you're full pinned over this hill that's blind. And you have to pick a reference point like off in the distance to like aim towards to know that the track is going to be there instead of the dirt. And a lot of people have issues being pinned there. So you lose a ton of time because you could be pinned all the way over the hill. Your bike's going to wheelie a bit and you're going to come over the hill and then you're going to set it down and then hard brake into two. And so that's where people have a lot of issues because they're like, no, they can't see the track. So they'll start to like roll off and then come over the hill and then roll back on. And that's time wasted. You know? Yeah.
So what would you say your biggest asset is as a racer? As a racer, what do you think your best asset is?
Starts. Race starts.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that? Are you just have quick reflexes? Is that why, or what is it?
Yeah. So, well, science would say that women have better reaction times than men.
Well, yeah. Well, when it comes to getting mad, of course, I've had many girlfriends. Their reaction time was great. Like from the moment I told them, no, I don't know who that girl is, and their reaction time, their hand in my face was like, wow, that was. I think you jumped the start.
I have had people be like, you jumped the start, and I'm like, watch my video and like show them, and it's like it's pretty close, but it's not. I didn't jump it. Yeah, I mean, I can gain. So I bet our number one plate holder at our club level, $5 that I could beat him. I could get the whole shot on him from third row. because I qualified third row and he's in the front row. And he was like, there's no way. There's no freaking way. We were at Portland and I did it. I beat him to turn one and I was like, you owe me $5.
Really?
All the way from third row. Yeah. And he's a pretty small guy. So it's not even like a weight advantage thing. Like it was just more or less that I just had a better start than he did.
Well, I tell you what, I will Venmo you $20 if you can whole shot Josh Herron this weekend. How about that?
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Well, no, you're talking negative. Do you put negativity out in the world? I will Venmo you. I will Venmo you
$20.
$20.
I feel like it gives you more than 20.
Okay, how much you want to go? $21. How about $21?
Does it matter if I jump start? Can I just like blow the lights all together? Just like
No. Listen. I will give you the money, but you got to do it fair and square. We're not gonna Lance Armstrong this. You're gonna do it fair and square. So I will Venmo you. How about this? I will Venmo you $50 if you whole shot Josh Herron into turn one. How about that? $50.
$50. All right.
$50. If you get the whole shot this weekend, I'm like, you know what? I got to Venmo more, and I got the cash. If not, I'll ask my producer. He's got money. I'll Venmo you $50 if you get the whole shot this weekend.
Okay. Deal.
How about that? Okay. So what's your biggest liability? What do you have to work on? Like, what's your I wish I was better at this.
Hard braking, like maximum braking on turns that are like slower, and like the chicane at the ridge or like 13 where we come down the complex. So in the scenario of Laguna, probably turn 11, the last one. I'm really not as good on like super hard braking. So I like when you look at data, which we look at like speed versus, GPS. When you look at my data, like my graph of like, acceleration to braking, there's like, it should be like a point, right? Like you should be accelerating and you should be braking like super hard. And like mine is like, and then it like kind of rounds out at the top. And there's like a hesitation where like I'm rolling off the throttle. I'm waiting to get on the brakes because I got off too soon. And then because I know that, I'm like, oh, I already rolled the throttle, but I don't really need to get to the brakes yet. And then I'm like, brakes, downshifts, brake more, and then in. And all of that time that I took to like roll off the throttle, get to my brakes, do my downshifts, it's all time wasted, right? Like you should be off the throttle, brakes, downshift. Like that should happen all at the same time. And so that's something that I've been working on a bunch with Jason, with Pridmore, is just working on those transitions and getting that faster so I can push that later and brake later, right? So I can accelerate longer, brake later, and brake shorter distance or shorter time.
Okay.
So those are like super fine tooth, like things that I need to work on where like, I'm fast enough to keep up with people, but the braking is hard for me for whatever reason. And part of that I think is like a fitness thing. Like I think, I've been working a lot on upper body because I feel like I get really exhausted, in a race.
Well, that's what I want to talk, because there's something about you motorcycle racers and it makes me so mad is I've tried to find out what is the routine in the gym that you guys do, and nobody ever says it. They're like, well, we just go to the gym and that's, we just, and I go, what is it? Well, we just, and then see you later. And they never tell me. So what is it that you people do? And I'm gonna say people because I would say you guys, but you're obviously not a guy. Don't do this way, Mallory. There's $50 on the line here. So what is it that you guys do in the gym? What exercise do you do? Because I want to be like you guys. I want to be like you. I want to be like a motorcycle racer. I want to look like a racer. What do I have to do?
It's pretty much like all body, right? It's like entire, like it's everything, right? Because like you think about it, right? It's like, so for me, like I've been working out a bunch of my arms because I got little girl arms and then like, I got to make sure to be strong. But, you're using your core, you're using your legs, like you're using everything. Like that's the thing. It's like you're using your legs for transitions. You're using your core to like make sure that you stay upright when you're braking. And then, all these like the traps and your shoulders and your quads and tries, like everything, right? You've been to a track day. When you're done at the track day, what hurts?
I'm exhausted. Everything. Mentally, I'm exhausted because I put everything into it. That's the kind of guy I am. I think you could tell that. You can tell that's the kind of guy I am. I put everything into it. Like this interview, I'm putting everything into this, and I'm getting nothing out of you. I'm getting nothing out of you. I'm trying to go into the hard corner and break, and I'm getting nothing out of you. I'm getting nothing, and I'm trying to say, what are you doing?
Everything. Yeah.
That's not an answer. Everything is like
everything.
It's like
I'm doing like wall sits. I'm doing planks. I'm doing some like one leg single jumps. Like
how about the balance board? Are you doing balance board?
People that do balance board. I don't. I do a lot of resistance cable work. So like, because my coach, actually, plug, Southern Pride Performance is my performance coach, and he can help you.
Southern Pride Performance Coach. You heard him. Southern Pride Performance Coach. Okay. And what do you guys do there? What do you guys do? What are you working on?
He plans all my workouts for me. So he does a lot of mobility training, stretching, like just a lot of things geared towards motorsports. So he's a motorcycle coach. He coaches Cam Peterson, Jake Gagne, Ezra Bobier, like all these guys that, are getting the Moto America paddock. He's coaching a lot of them through a lot of things. So like just even mobility, but also like core workouts and strength training. And he plans it all. We use Train Heroic, which is like an app, and he's working on developing his own app, but he uses Train Heroic and it plans all the workouts for the week. And you just like start it and it like gives you all the things and all the reps and the weights and whatever.
It's called Train Heroic.
Yeah. Train Heroic is the app. And then he runs all his programs and like his stuff through his website and everything. So
if I download Train Heroic, I can train like a motorcycle racer. I can look like you. I can be like you.
Pay Ethan, yes, and pay Ethan to run your program.
And I'll look like you, and I can get the whole shot, and I'll be able to
get some little muscles.
No, you ain't. No, girl, look, who you messing with? Who you think you messing with, girl? Okay. I'm the Black Mallory Dobbs.
Heck yeah, I would not choose a better person to represent me.
I'm not gonna lie, that made me laugh.
That's a statement. That's like the title of this podcast. I'm the Black Mallory Dobbs.
I'm the Black Mallory Dobbs. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that made me laugh. I thought that was funny. I really did. Well, listen. You know what? I know you don't. At least I don't think you do. But have you thought about training like a motocross in the off season or during the week? To help you as far as like a lot of MotoGP guys do that. Are you doing any motocross or anything?
No, I'm not currently. I've thought about it a lot. I did some flat track a couple times with some friends for some fun. I don't have a dirt bike or anything. I think that they're great cross training. Everybody says it is, right? Like it's a full body workout without being on the track, and you can ride wherever and whenever. A lot of people also get hurt doing that, right? Because motocross or any sort of like dirt trailing or whatever.
But in your words exactly, because I know you broke your collarbone doing this, in your words exactly, you can get hurt doing anything. And that was your words exactly. I listened to a podcast you did, and you said you can get hurt doing anything. So I'm putting your words back in your mouth. How about that? How about that? So
yes,
yeah, and
yep.
I went motocrossing on 4th of July. I did some motocross. The first time I did motocross this year, and yeah, it does hurt everything. But I was wanting, if you should give it a shot. Like I go on little baby tracks. I mean, I literally race against kids that are like 8 and 9 years old, and this one kid, remember from his other track, he goes, "Hey," he goes, "You're a lot better than you were last year." And I go, "Shut up, kid." He literally said, "You're a lot better than you were last year." And his grandpa posted a picture of me on Facebook, and I really thought I was doing the double. I really thought I was getting some big air, and I saw it on Facebook. I go, "Wow, that was." Wow. I mean, in my mind, I'm the Black Jeff Hurlings in my mind. And then I looked at the video and I was like, wow, I should probably just shut my mouth. I mean, it was horrible. But hey, you never know. One of these days, I'm going to be the Black Mallory Dobbs. How about that?
You can do it. You just got to work for it.
Well, I want to know now, what are the goals now? I mean, because like I said, you're killing it. You're achieving your goals. Like I said, honestly, and all jokes aside, I think what you're doing is nothing short of fantastic, because all racers, I mean, they usually, if you know their story, they almost like with you and horses, they start off young. I think I don't know how many races on here, they start off at 6 years old at the latest sometimes, some of them 3 years old. And then by your age, they're racing pros. You didn't get your first bike to 2016. Here it is 6 years later, and you're racing. And not only that, but you're achieving a goal. You said, I don't want to get lapped. I don't want to crash. And what did you do? You got points. So now that you're living the dream, and goes without saying is that you're being a role model for somebody growing up now. And I know you don't like to, say I'm not a feminist or whatever. And I don't know why that's a bad thing, because it's a good thing in the sense of just by you doing what you're doing and just by going about your business, girls are going to look up to you and go, wow, if she did it, I can do it. You know, without beating somebody over the head going, I'm a woman, listen to me, you know, whatever. You can go, hey, if she can do it, and within 6 years, just by applying yourself, I can do it. So what are your goals now? I mean, sometimes people are afraid to say them because they seem too big or too daunting. But for you, what are your goals now?
Yeah, my goals in the future would be to race a full Moto America season in the next year or two. You know, I would love to be able to race motorcycles full time. That'd be pretty sweet. That would be a dream. I think Moto America season would be the start, like full season, and then, you know, paid motorcycle racer would be the next. So, I mean, I'm kind of riding the high from the last Moto America round to carry me to Laguna. I wasn't going to go to Laguna because they were so close together and the logistics seemed like a lot. And, you know, I didn't force it, but I asked for some support from people, and I was overwhelmed by the amount of help I got from, you know, so many people in my life, and, you know, that I've never met, and some people I have, and just so many people that were like, no, we want to see you at Laguna, like go to Laguna. And so, you know, I'm riding the high from this last weekend at the Ridge, going to Laguna. We're going to see what we can do. You know, I'm just like really excited to like actually learn a track and then kind of show people what I can do there and see what kind of relationships and things that build on from that. You know, we talk about the role model thing, but I mean, one of the coolest things at Moto America that was so fun to me was all the fans walked through the paddock and me sitting, you know, in the pits, and people are looking at my bike and they're like, wow, your bike's so beautiful. And like, you know, these little girls walking by, and I'm just like, hi. And I like walk out of my pits and go say hello. And they're just like blabbing, you know, they're just talking. And they're like, oh my goodness, your bike's so pretty. And then like, you know, they're just talking. And then like, I got messages from fans that were like, hey, we met you in the pits. Thanks for being so cool. My daughter is such a fangirl of you now. And it just, that melts my heart and like gives me purpose to like keep like, yes, I love racing and I want to race for me, but like that just like warms my heart, right? It's like, oh, I'm doing something for other people and like representing, you know, women or other people that are younger that want to do something different. You know, it's hard to get into those things, but seeing someone that can do it or someone that's friendly enough to talk to people about it. Like I'm just another person, right? Like I'm not going to sit there and try to pretend like I'm some big shot now just because I'm in Moto America. Like I want to tell people like I'm here, but I work my butt off and you can do it too.
And I think that's beautiful. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And that's what makes it so appealing is that you're on this level and you're just showing that, hey, through hard work and just being a good person and you just talk and meet people, you can achieve your goals, man. And I think that's what brought me to you. Just everything about you is just a warm person, and you are who you think you are. Like, and I saw I think I was communicating with you just from Instagram, and I know I'm a lot to handle I really do. I know I'm a lot to handle. If you don't know me, you're like, man, I don't know about this guy. You know,
he's talking to me in all caps. Why is he yelling at me?
I know. She nailed it. No, you're so right, because I was looking at this past conversation we had before I even asked you about the podcast, and it is in all caps.
It took 110 episodes for somebody to call you out on it.
It took 110 episodes for somebody to finally go, yeah, what is it with all caps? Look, bro, I don't know you. Thanks for being supportive, but I really would appreciate if you wouldn't contact me ever again. Signed, Mallory. Good luck in your life. So from here on out, no all caps. But yeah, for anybody watching, she really is who she presents herself to be. She's a great person. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And another thing about you is I can't wait. Hopefully I will see your 67 Nova that you have restored. And I want to know, does it have an 8-track player? That's all I want to know.
Currently doesn't have anything in it, no.
Listen, you get an 8-track player and you get some, get an 8-track player, you get some Fog Hat Live, and I guarantee you will get at least 4 or 5 guys with a mullet, and they will help you become a motorcycle racer. You listen to Fog Hat Live, that transforms lives. Slow ride. Let me tell you something. You go tell your dad that I know what Fog Hat Live is, and he'll go, I like that guy. You tell him. I want to be on his podcast.
My dad is transforming to Batman.
Yeah, whatever. Listen, that's not the point. The point is you get an 8-track player for your 67 Nova.
Mullets.
And you listen and you drive up playing some Fog Hat, you will have yourself a pit crew that will work for free. You understand? They will work for Schlitz. A 6-pack of Schlitz. I don't even know if they make that anymore, but they'll work for it. A 6-pack a Schlitz, and that's what they'll do. So get an 8-track player and your 67 Nova. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Mallory Dobbs, you're gonna kick ass this weekend in Laguna Seca. And I mean this. I will Venmo you. I'm gonna Venmo you 50 if you beat Josh Herron. If you get the whole shot, I'm gonna Venmo you 50. If you get a top 10, I will Venmo you $100. And I promise you. If you get a top 10, I will Venmo you $100. And that's okay? I mean this.
All right.
Okay?
Yep. It's recorded, so it's fact.
Okay, so you can make $150 this weekend. I'm just saying. Okay?
Yeah. If I get a whole shot on Heron and then drop down to 10th, I might be terrified for my life because someone might hit me.
No, they won't. Because you know why? Because you go, oh, look what I did. $50 on the line. And you'll, whoa, and then you'll get a top. And then they can't catch you. They won't be able to catch you. And they'll be like, who is this girl? And by then, you're gone. You're done.
Gone. Just gone.
And then
see my ponytail in the wind, and they're like, oh, what the heck?
And on the podium, they'll be playing some Foghat Slow Ride live. Mallory Dobbs, you are incredible. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I think you're nothing but just a great inspiration on how it's never too late to achieve your dreams. And that's what I like about you. And I mean, that smile is genuine and it's real. And you can see the passion on your YouTube channel. You can see the passion on your Instagram, man. It is all real. And you're just a person like every one of us, but you took the courage to go for it. And that's what I love about you. So anybody get the chance, follow Mallory Dobbs on Instagram. Anything else you want to plug right now?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. I really appreciate the time that you took to talk to me today. And it's been super fun being here. And, anytime I love to talk about my story and share with other people. And if anybody has any questions about racing or whatever, my journey, I'm super approachable both in person and on any of my social media. So.
Yes, she also has merchandise for sale on her Instagram. You go through a link tree, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, link. You can buy some, there's tights, is it?
There's some leggings, some t-shirts, sweatshirts, some Mallory Dobbs racing swag. So my logo, and I guess there's a little story about my logo, but I can tell anybody about that at some point. But it's a Wonder Woman logo upside down, be an N. But there's an origin story on that back in my street riding hooligan days. So Mallory Dobbs racing merch is for sale. You guys can buy it at any point.
Buy some Mallory Dobbs swag. Support this woman. Like I said, you can't help but love her. She is going to kick ass in Laguna Seca. Thank you so much, Mallory. I appreciate the time. You're going to kick your ass this weekend, girl. Remember, $150 on the line. $150 on the line. An 8-track Foghat Slow Ride. I'm BT saying thank you so much for watching Tales from a Gemini. Thank you, Mallory Dobbs. And you know how we say about this time, you know the word, peace.